Hey, what's up everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems and welcome to another MX Simulator tutorial video. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about the new suspension updates in MX Simulator. As you can see here on my screen, we've got the 2015, that would be September 21st snapshot. JLV has released a new snapshot since then, which has fixed a couple of the problems that people have complained about, but the big thing in this that deals with suspension is right there: separate high/low speed damping adjusters. And I'll explain to you a little bit more about that in a second. Here is basically a brief overview of what those do here, highlighted in the blue. It says the high speed adjusters are the same as the old damping adjusters, with the low speed adjusters at 50. It'll give you a linear damping. Like in the previous versions, under 50 they'll give you progressive damping, and over 50 they'll give you digressive damping. He also updated that just a little bit so that the high-speed adjuster ranges are doubled. Yeah, I will take you guys into game, show you my setup, and explain a little bit more about what happens when you adjust them. Alright, so here we are in game, and right now you're taking a look at the most recent setup that I've created. As you can tell, it's a little bit different than the setup video setup that I created. I worked on this setup for roughly 2 hours one night with Nathan Zaworski, Chris Riesenberg, and Daniel Markham. And I thought it's worked out pretty well for me so far. I've been using it for about the month that the new snapshot has been out, and I haven't had any major differences or problems dealing with the low speed to high speed range at all. Some people have been falling off a lot, but basically this is my setup, so you guys can just steal this if you want. And my advanced stability setup has not changed one bit since the last video, so you can go check out the advanced stability tutorial if you wish to see that. But here's my setup, and here you can see high speed and low speed rebound damping in the fork, and then high speed and low speed rebound damping in the shock, and again high speed compression and low speed compression damping in the shock, high speed and low speed compression damping in the fork. So these are your main components of the new snapshot that JLV has tried to implement and help you change. As you can see, there's a lot more options in total, but these ones will help you the most. And as I said, again, with the low speed, if you just left your low speed compression and rebound damping at 50, which I'm not going to show you because I don't want to mess my setup, but if you had left it at 50, it would not have changed a thing. The graph ratio from the high speeds to your low speeds would have continued in a linear fashion as they had been before. But now when you adjust these lower or higher on the low speed range, it will adjust that graph and sort of make kind of like a wave, if you will, on the graph. So you'll have more low speed damping here, but less high speed damping there because of how you move the spring or the damping on the low speed range around, and it affects the high speed damping in that area. And I'll show you guys a little bit more about what that means in game in just a minute. But again, just if you want to look at this, copy this down. This is my setup in game, and it works pretty well. This is on a 450, so I wouldn't recommend using -2 gearing on a 250. Maybe -1 or something like that. But this is the setup I use, and I'll show you guys a little bit more about those graphs in just a second. Alright folks, so here we are in game now, and as you can see, I'm playing my Yamaha test track, which I just released 2 weeks ago. And we'll include a link to that in the description if you want to download that. But one thing I want to show you about the graphs: you don't need to be online to do this. If you hit your T-bar, you'll open your text chat window, and then you input /toggle graph and hit enter, and boom, look at, suddenly these graphs show up. You'll see speed or fork position, fork speed on high, fork speed on low, and then swing arm position, shock speed on high, shock speed on low. And when you start riding, they start freaking out like crazy, and you'll see when I get really heavy on the front or really heavy on the rear that the graph spikes. And that's just to show you how hard it's hitting the ground and when it's basically bottomed out, if you will, or taking a large portion of the load. So the premise that you want to go with in terms of trying to not fall off the bike, which it seems like most people want to do, is you want to keep those lines from spiking significantly. Obviously it's spiking a lot here for me. This is more of a supercross setup, so the front end is actually a little bit stiffer, and therefore you're seeing more spiking on the rear. but this setup tends to work for me. Again, these graphs aren't going to help you immensely. It just goes to show you how much changing your setup will differ on these graphs. I'm not going to give you a specific example, but if you were to go and change around your low and high speed dampings a bunch and get it closer to that center line, you'll see less of the green spikes. Or if you don't mess with it at all, or if you mess with it in the wrong direction, you'll see even more green spikes and likely go down more often because of that. So my recommendation to any of you that are having issues out there with the suspension is basically just load in game and make very minute changes to your suspension as you play. Start off with a 50 base on the low speed damping settings. Try to find a suspension that you were comfortable with before the new suspension updates, and then start tweaking your low speed damping and compression damping to adjust to your liking, and maybe take a look at these graphs to see just how the bike is reacting under certain circumstances, so that you get a better understanding of how to get your suspension the way you want it to work. So hopefully this video helped you in some way, shape, or form. I know it's a very confusing amount of information. This game being a simulator, you tend to have a lot of information that isn't the easiest to follow, but in the end, if this video helps you even a little bit, I hope that we've somewhat done our job in that aspect and can help you become a better rider in the game. So if you like this video, please like it, please comment and subscribe to the channel. Let us know your thoughts and opinions, and give any extra advice that you have to offer. And so yeah, thanks guys for watching. This is Kellen on Start Your Systems for another MX Simulator tutorial video, and we'll see you guys later.